What's up, everybody? Welcome to another episode of Drinks with Drea. I'm your host, Miss Drea, and I hope you guys are having a phenomenal day. So, as you guys know, it has been a lot going on in this last week. For those of you guys who watch Insecure, that came back for its fifth and final season. Sorry, y'all, I'm still emotional about this. So we're definitely gonna break that down a little bit. But before we do, of course, with any Drinks with Drea episode, we have to start off with what we're drinking on. So today we sipping on some agua, okay? So for as much as we're gonna have a glass of wine, a cocktail, any mixture of anything, we wanna make sure that we get some water in. So that's what we're doing today. So let's go ahead and get started. All right, so again, I mentioned Insecure season 5 is back as of this past Sunday. Now, Issa Rae broke all of our hearts over the weekend by letting us know that this will be the last season. Now, I don't know about you, but for me personally, this show was everything, okay? Now, I'm not in my early 20s or late 20s anymore. Anyway, but I can relate to just being, in that awkward phase of just new to it. Well, I think her character was actually older now, I'm thinking about it, but either way, being, a young adult, working a job that you hate, really trying to find your place in the world, using your degree to, make it your passion, make it your career, make it what you are passionate about, and make it what pays the bills, is a struggle that a lot of people can relate to. Also, being in relationships that you feel are not going anywhere, relationships where you feel like, y'all are moving in two different directions. So when you think about the show Insecure, you think about her and Lawrence and their relationship. It started off with him being kind of couch-bound and not necessarily knowing what direction he was going in. He had a very specific degree, but he wasn't finding jobs that was willing to pay him what he felt he was worth. So he found himself on his girlfriend's couch. He found himself, not contributing. And from that point, you saw them separate and grow in their own ways. And in the last season, they came back together. And now we get to see how all of this unfold. You also get to see the friendships between her and Tiffany and Molly, and Kelly, who are her college besties, which we all can relate to, right? Like, everybody didn't go away to college. I know I didn't, but I still had like that growing up with friends from adolescence and kind of dealing with the changes in personalities and changes in priorities, and how sometimes that results in how often you see each other, how often you talk. But at the end of the day, the love is still there. And I love that show because it's so relatable for those specific moments and more, right? So it's sad. It's really sad. I personally feel like this could have gone to at least 7 or 8 seasons. I get her point in the sense where you don't want to drag something out. Like, at this point, don't shoot the messenger, but Grey's Anatomy has reached a level of maturation. Like, I can't even sit through it anymore. We've seen so many wonderful cast members come and go. We've seen so many shades of Meredith Grey. How much more do we need to see? At this rate, we're going to see her, start to develop Alzheimer's like her mom did. So I don't know if I want to watch it that long. We saw them fresh out of college as residents, and now they're mature doctors 20 years in. Let's wrap this thing up, Shonda. I love you, but come on, bring the Duke back on Bridgerton. But anyway, back to Insecure. With anything that's successful, right, it has to have some level of controversy. So for Insecure, 2 things came out recently that's considered controversial. The first thing is Tiffany, who is played by Amanda Seales. That character, part of the backstory of that character, along with Molly, is that she was an AKA in college. If you're not familiar with AKA, that is a sorority in many HBCUs, sorry, and probably other schools. I don't know the true history. I'm not going to sit here and lie. I'm not going to misrepresent or lie. I don't know much about the AKAs. I have friends that are Deltas, and I don't know much about, I know that there's a camaraderie. I know that it's almost like a alumni network. People can connect on their affiliation with this organization. I know that they give a lot back to, different communities. It's like a sisterhood that's tied to a brotherhood, and they work together and have fun. And if you're friends with someone who's in a sorority or a fraternity, you already know if they get married or they have a funeral, they gonna be in there full salute. So it's a beautiful thing, right? It's a very beautiful thing. But again, not necessarily understanding from the outside and the significance of these different organizations. So I understand that they're very close to the people who put in the work to become a part of them. I know that, I've heard about things like hazing. I don't know how true that is, specifically with Black sororities and fraternities, but there is a level of, or a process in which they have to make some sacrifices and do things they don't necessarily want to do in order to prove that they're worthy of being in these organizations. So I know people take it very, very seriously. Again, outside looking in, I don't understand it. I don't know. But the way that Molly and Tiffany's characters are portrayed is in a very positive light. Their affiliation with the AKAs is not negative. It's not, calling them stuck up or sedity, or there's really no negative affiliation portrayed by these characters. So it was a bit shocking to see that someone was upset. And I don't know if it was just the one person who made the statement that it was disrespectful, or if it was more that I didn't see, but I saw more people defending, the decision to include the AKA, and defending Amanda Seales and defending Issa Rae and so on and so forth. Then I actually saw people being frustrated or upset about, the AKA being represented on the show. Now, could they have made up an organization? Absolutely. If I was a part of an organization and it's being represented in a positive light, I can't see why that would make me upset. But again, if I did not put in the work, sweat, blood, tears to become a part or a member, I don't know what dues they have to pay. I don't know any of that. So I don't know if I'm not in it, and those of us that's not in it, I think most of us just don't get it. But I am curious for people who are listening, who are part of sorority or fraternities, what are the main issues with people representing your organization, specifically in the TV and movie role? Why is that seen as a negative thing, especially if it's portrayed in a positive light? I don't get it, but I understand that I'm not meant to get it because I am not a part of that organization. The other thing that came up as controversy, which should not even be controversy in 2021, is nobody's business, but Jay Ellis, who I personally assumed that he was single. And reason for that is because if you go to like his social presence, it's just him in very thirst trap photos. But it turns out he's married specifically to a white woman. And the thing about this that's weird is that the headline is that Jay Ellis is exposed for hiding his white wife. Like, I don't feel like that's a necessary call out, because I'm pretty sure he's not ashamed of being married to a white woman. Like, I'm pretty sure that's not why she or their kids are not on his social media presence. I think it has more to do with his brand. He is always playing roles where he's considered sexy and the hot guy, the one that the girls, kind of swoon over. So having a wife and kids is probably not a sexy image to people who fantasize over you. And I'm sure his wife and his family is mature enough and realistic enough to know that I have you in real life. I don't need to be represented on your page. And a lot of times when people are popular and when people are swooned over, their love interest, their partner, is highly criticized. And then we do in our community give Black men a hard time. Now, don't get me wrong. I understand where people get frustrated, where Black men get super successful, earn a lot of money, and considering where we're at as Black people in this country and how low we are on the totem pole when it comes to wealth, you're a person who's found success, who's built wealth, and you're taking that out of our community and you're putting it into a community that's already wealthy, right? But that one person cannot hold the weight of this community. So we can't necessarily blame them for that. They're gonna love who they love. A lot of times when they become successful, they're in different circles and they're around different people. So you can't blame that. And at the end of the day, you can't just make somebody, put their feelings aside about somebody so that they can marry somebody that looks like them. That's just not the reality. Whoever someone loves, that's their business, and we need to respect that. Issa Rae just got married. I didn't even know the girl was dating. She just popped up with a wedding gown, bridesmaids, and a whole husband. And nobody made it about her hiding her husband. It was just about her protecting her private life. But for some reason, it has to be about him hiding his wife because his wife is white. There's nothing to hide about that. Interracial relationships are common. We're actually seeing more Black women step outside of out of our comfort zone to date outside of our race. So I don't understand why it has to have that type of a negative connotation over it, or a caption to highlight the race of his wife, because that's irrelevant. He is protecting his brand. His brand isn't pro-Blackness. His brand is the fact that he's a sex symbol. He is handsome. He's tall. He's chocolate. He's someone that women find attractive. They don't want to go on his page and see him hugging and kissing his baby on the forehead and hugging and kissing his wife. They want to see photos of him with his shirt off, which is what he gives. So put that racist stuff to the side. Take the race of his wife out of it. A lot of people protect their relationships who are in the public eye because people are negative and people are haters and people can't stand to see people happy. So can you really blame them? Ugh. We're gonna move on, but shout out to Issa Rae. She got a big deal with HBO Max to deliver exclusive content to them for the next 5 years. She has not, nor have they disclosed the amount of it, but allegedly or reportedly it's nine figures. So that's at least 100 million. So for a Black woman who started on YouTube and was able to get picked up on her own show and get 5 full seasons, to get that type of deal is a game changer. She opened the door for so many different people to follow behind. And I'm just happy to know that she's a sister. I remember when she first became famous, they asked her, who you rooting for? She said, I'm rooting for everybody Black. I still love her for that because that's unapologetic. It's not to exclude anybody else. It's not to say that Black people are better than anybody else. But sometimes in this country, the way we are treated and the way we are seen, sometimes we just got to be unapologetic about loving our Blackness. Okay. Moving along, go ahead and take a sip of your water or wine or cocktail or easy living or whatever it is that you want to drink on tonight. And let's move on to the next topic now. This topic is kind of exhausting. So Nene Leakes, as we all know, recently lost her husband, Greg, to cancer. And, it was a lot of just stuff surrounding it. Nene Leakes has had tumultuous friendships where they started off really strong. And over time, they may have fell apart. They come back together. And I'm talking about with her castmates. So obviously, I don't know her relationships in real life, but with her castmates like Cynthia and Candy and Portia, it's like a roller coaster with Nene. But when her husband passed away, because he's been tied to the franchise so long and he has had personal relationships with a lot of the cast members, they made it a point to be there for her, regardless of their personal affiliation or relationship at the time. They made it a point to show support, because sometimes, no matter what your relationship is with people, we got to be able to put the petty stuff to the side for real things that go on in life, like death, like birth, like, gains and losses or whatever the case may be. If you ever love somebody and they are going through a major life transition, if you really truly love that person at some point, you're going to at least shoot a congratulations. I'm sorry to hear that. You're going to shoot something just to show that you're still thinking about them if you ever truly love them. And that's what a lot of the women did. She doesn't have a lot of strong connections and relationships because she chose to step back from the show, but there are still people who are going to support and love her regardless. She opened up on an interview that she recently did, and she kind of was throwing shade at her castmates. I guess a few of the ladies came together and sent her like a $200 flower bouquet, and it was like, from us to you, which is kind of custom in a work relationship, right? Like if somebody at your job goes through something, you guys come together, put your money together, and you buy them a nice gift. You know what I mean? But I guess that wasn't enough. You know what I mean? She was comparing things that she's done for other people and felt like those things should have been returned to her. So What I say to that is one of my favorite quotes of all times. And it's not even a quote, it's just a saying, right? Expect nothing, appreciate everything. Let me repeat that for the people in the back. Expect nothing, appreciate everything. One thing that we're all going to have to learn at some point in our life is that if we're waiting for people to value us, respect us, and treat us the same way that we treat them, we are in for a very rude surprise. People will sit back and say thank you 1,000 times for all the wonderful deeds that you do. That does not mean that they're going to return those things to you. And you got to be okay with that. You know what I'm saying? Like, you have to be okay with that. You got to check yourself. If you're only giving things because you expect something in return, you're already not starting with the right foundation. Give because it's in your heart to give. Give because it's something that brings you joy and something that means something to you. Don't give expecting anything in return. She spoke about how when Todd, which is Candy's husband, his mom passed away, she catered food to the repast in New York. When her friend Marlo's brother passed, she sent, catered food over to their repast. She felt like nobody did that for her. Now, she later went on to say that Candy did end up sending her a personal gift that was a sizable gift later, not when she wanted it, but when it, I don't want to say when it was convenient for Candy, but when she did it, you know what I mean? Marlo was able to, again, just contribute something later, but she didn't get those things at that time. I just felt like it's just in bad taste. You know what I'm saying? First of all, that's not your priority right now. Your priority, in my opinion, is readjusting to life as a widow. You know what I mean? Like, you lost a person that's been the person that you slept next to, the person that you married, divorced, and married again, and have a lot of love for, have children with. Like, that's the focus, is healing. It's not the time to worry about who did and who didn't. You could take inventory of those things. And again, if you say, okay, I know I did this for you, but you didn't return the favor, now you have a choice. Either you're going to give because it's in your heart to give, or you're going to return the favor that was given to you. But you cannot expect people to do anything for you. Just because you've given a person $100 million, just because you babysat their kids, just because you fed them when they needed it, just because you put clothes on their back, just because you offered them a bed, does not mean when it's your turn that person will return it to you. It sucks. It's unfortunate, but it's life. It's life. And you got to be okay with that. So I don't know. And then some people just genuinely don't like her. So the fact that they put their name on the card and contributed $20 was a big positive step. You know what I'm saying? Because some people could say, well, sorry that you went through that, but I don't mess with you. A lot of the women, regardless of their current relationship with her, still made it a point to show love. Cynthia Bailey, they were not on good terms when Greg passed. Cynthia had other things going on, which if you're a professional, a business person, sometimes you have to meet certain obligations. And sometimes you're willing to cut those obligations and be there for a friend, but that's not your friend. So she couldn't show up to the funeral and the repast, but as soon as she was able to get some, wiggle room in her schedule, she made a point to show up at her lounge, to hug her, to show her love. Sometimes that just has to be enough. You want to think, oh, I lost my husband. She knew my husband. She gonna put all this petty stuff to the side. Maybe not. We all in a pandemic. Everybody's mindset is not 100% there. It's so much that can be a reason. You just gonna have to learn how to give grace. But again, expect nothing, appreciate everything. All right, moving along. We almost done here, people, because I told y'all I'm trying to give y'all shorter episodes because the attention span of people. I should have put this in a wine glass or something. This is a little ghetto, but anyway. I don't know if y'all caught the news, but Facebook has a new name called Meta. I'm going to encourage y'all to look this up because I don't know if you saw the movie Ready Player One, But this what I get the feeling of. In the movie Ready Player One, basically people wherever they were in the world would put on these virtual reality glasses or goggles or helmet, whatever you want to call it, and it would enter them into this virtual world. In the virtual world, they got to race, they got to embrace, they got to be in love, like anything that you would normally do in the outside world, people were doing it using this helmet or this, whatever you want to call it. I don't know. And that's what this sounds like to me. It's like you can create an avatar of yourself. You can show up at, as a hologram, those things that they made where you can see like performers that passed on, like Tupac and Michael Jackson, like if they're doing a show, they can do a hologram of them. We can be holograms. If you're a teacher or like one of these people who have businesses on internet, you can actually teach real estate classes, as an avatar. You can have seminars as an avatar. You could throw parties with other avatars. Like you're literally going to, however it works. I don't know if it's going to be like clicking buttons like the Sims show. You remember when they had that on the computer and you can kind of control what they did, or I don't know if we're going to get glasses where you can jump into the world. I don't know. I don't want that. We already spend enough time apart. Not only that, we're in a pandemic. I want to hug people. I've never been a hugger. I still sometimes be like, but I want to hug people now because I feel like I miss hugging people. I miss even people I don't like. I just want to be around people. And this is just going to further divide us because now it's like, I don't even got to go to your birthday party, girl. I'm just going to virtually tap in. I'm going to dance as a hologram and I'm going to log off and go to bed. Like, no. This is like the future that's been told in movies for many years. I don't know the name of the movie, but I think it was a movie with Bruce Willis. And basically, same type of concept. He was actually at home handicapped, but his robotic version of himself that he controlled through his mind would get up, go out into the world. That version of him was stronger and looked better and all this other stuff. And something happened where all the robots shut down. But nonetheless, people were at home looking a hot mess, not taking care of themselves, being unhealthy. And they had their beautiful mannequin style robot avatar thing out in the world for them. And I feel like this is what Facebook is trying to do to us. It's trying to make us be more alone, more at home. I don't know if y'all noticed this, but people have been losing their dang on minds since we've been in this pandemic. People have been at home losing their minds. Robberies, carjacking, strong arm, all this crazy stuff is getting more and more rampant because people are spending too much time alone. I just watched a video where a woman was getting her dog, going in the house, and some young dude is just trying to break into her home. He looked like he wasn't mentally there, but it's like people are literally losing their minds. So stuff like this is more of keeping us apart, keeping us away from having social skills. You know what I mean? Like it was just a story not too long ago where a woman was actually raped on a train full of people. Nobody called 911. Something is happening to us as human beings. We're becoming desensitized. We're becoming disconnected. We're all kind of going off into our own world. We're not caring about each other anymore. I don't like it. I don't like it. Anytime 20, 30 people can sit on a train and see a woman screaming and begging a man to stop raping her and they could just sit back and do this, not one person could think, call 911. I'm going to attack him from the back. Y'all just going to let this woman get assaulted? And it's not the first thing that happened. This type of stuff happens all the time. We're losing our sense of humanity. We're disconnected. Kids having brawls in schools, left and right, fighting, jumping each other, suicide, all-time high. We're losing our sense of humanity. And I don't think any of this is done on accident. I think it's done by design. So I'm not going to say I'm not going to partake in Meta because from a business perspective, it sounds very promising. But for social, do not invite me to a virtual meta baby shower. I am not coming. Don't invite me to a virtual meta funeral. I am not coming. If I cannot physically bring my tail outside the house and knock on your door, don't even bother inviting me, because I cannot and will not live my life through a computer. But I can conduct business still. Anyway, we get ready to wrap up. I want to leave you guys with a positive note, but it's not going to start off positive, right? Because where this thought came from was watching Diary of a Mad Black Woman. I'm actually watching I could do bad all by myself. If you want to binge on like Tyler Perry movies, HBO Max has quite a few of them, so that's what I'm watching tonight. But I was watching Diary of a Mad Black Woman. If you remember from watching this movie, in the beginning of the movie, Helen, which was Charles's wife, after, he disrespected her in the car, and after he got all her stuff moved out and put all his new woman stuff in, and she thought it was her stuff, she put on this dress and she was done up waiting on her husband, and he comes in the door looking like Shrek, grumpy face. I shouldn't say that because that's that man's real face, but nonetheless, he came in like a jerk and literally physically dragged this woman by her feet, by her hands, just dragged her out of the home that they built together. I would rather chew a gym shoe with dog poop on it than to sit here and beg somebody to be with me that don't want to be with me. No, I would rather chew a shit shoe before I beg and plead for somebody to love me and respect me, especially when I give so much of myself to them. So that's my message. Love yourself. Know your worth. Know your value. Don't beg nobody. I don't care who it is, blood or none. It doesn't matter. You are worthy. You are powerful. You're here for a reason. If God woke you up this morning, you're here for a reason. Take your energy off people who don't love you, who don't want you, who don't value you, and put that energy into figuring out, God, why am I still here? Because your purpose is greater. If a person don't want to be with you, don't want to love you, don't want to respect you, don't want to value you, let they tail go. And go be around and love on the people that want to be around and love on you. All right, guys. I hope I wasn't too long. It's 2:22 in the morning. I love seeing those numbers because I'm all into the universe right now. So want you guys to have a wonderful day. Thank you so much for listening. It's truly appreciated. Please like, comment, and subscribe. Add some comments. Let's interact. And I'm going to talk to you guys soon. See you at the top.